Everybody wants cheap labor, right? Not everybody, but some people. So a few years back, I was working for this lady. I was cutting her lawn every week, not a big deal. She was a really great client, really great mowing client, that is. And she lived in a very upscale, very liberal part of Dallas, North Dallas here. Now, I'm not saying that to make a political statement. I'm just saying that's the area she was in. A lot of blueites. So anyway, everything was cool. I was working for her real good for a couple of months, and she ended up wanting a landscaping project done. And I'm telling her, well, I don't do hardscapes, and she wanted flagstone and pavers, and she wanted some concrete work, especially after, I had done one major project at that point enough to know I didn't want to do another major project. So I had to tell her, well, I don't do, big projects like that scope anymore. You're going to have to find someone else. And I gave her, 2 landscaping companies that I know that are reputable businesses that do hardscapes and pavers and all that. And that was the end of it. Or so I thought. So a month or two went by. I was still mowing the lawn. I noticed that nothing had gotten done as far as the landscaping was concerned. Like she still had the backyard was still exactly the same as it was. So I was thinking, I guess the guys that I sent to her were busy. I guess they didn't have time to do the work right now. Maybe she's on a waiting list. I don't know. One day she ended up talking to me, and school bus here. Anyway, one day she was talking to me. She comes out and she goes, "Hey, I still need that landscaping project done, such and such, such and such." In my head, I'm thinking, I already referred you out. Like I've already told you I don't do that. What are you asking me for? Well, I said, well, what about so and so and what's it called? Did they not work out for you? Did that not pan out? She goes, well, I called them and talked to them, but they're too expensive. I want the cheap guy to do it. I don't want the good guy to do it. I'm thinking, what in the world? This type of thing. Okay. So then she goes a step further. She goes, how about this? Why don't you go down to Home Depot and hire about 5 or 10 illegals and go ahead and supervise them and have them do all the hard labor? And I'm thinking, what? Well, first of all, back in the day, used to be a lot of guys would hang around Home Depot and, day laborers, as they call them, try to get work. Well, Home Depot put an end to that. So about the time, this was after I had worked there, about the time I started working there was when Home Depot put a stop to that. So there weren't any guys loitering on the front area like there used to be back, 20, 25 years ago. So she's, first of all, her information in that regard is outdated. But second of all, after talking to her a little bit about, kind of her budget as she had it, she for some reason had this idea that these day laborers, these, undocumented folks, some of them are, as far as that goes, she had this idea that she was going to pay them something like $25 a day or something like that for labor, manual labor. And it was really bizarre. It's like, what? $25 a day, $30 a day? You're not going to pay a guy that. And so after, educating her a little bit, like, listen, you're going to still pay labor. Like, there's no way for you to get out of paying labor for this job unless you yourself physically get on your hands and knees and do it. And that wasn't happening. She wasn't about to do none of that. So, in the end, I had to, tell her again, like, look, I don't do hardscapes and I don't do projects, and I'm certainly not going to go pick up a bunch of strangers that I don't know and that I haven't vetted and bring them to your property to do work and then leave them there for however many hours or days, depending on the scope of what you want. And, that's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for, all sorts of problems. And, you know, it's not even because the people, not even because of the, you know, legal status of the people. I don't care about that. Anybody that I bring to any job is somebody that I have, you know, vetted and that I work with, somebody that I know is trustworthy and knows how to do the job that they're hired to do. And you can't know that from just picking up strangers on the street. I used to know a guy years ago that would do that. He would pick up strangers on the street and go bring them back to his rental houses and do work. And it was hit or miss. You know, he had some good work done. Sometimes he met a couple of people that, you know, he worked with for a while. And he had some issues where people kind of screwed around and he had to redo the work. And I think he got robbed once or twice. And it's not worth it. It's not worth playing that game over a few dollars. You know, you're not going to get out of paying labor costs by hiring, you know, guys off the street. And you're not going to get away with not paying for a project that's that extensive. So, sorry. Put it into overdrive here. So, yeah, that was one of those times I had to, you know, put a cap on this right away and say, hey, listen, I'm going to stop you here. You don't know what the heck you're talking about. And I worked for her for a couple more months cutting the grass, but after this conversation about, you know, illegals and day laborers and all this, that landscape project never came up again. And to this day, I don't have a clue if she ever found somebody to do it, because I didn't work for her after that season. So, yep. You got to look out for that in business sometimes. Some people will know what they're doing. Some people, however, do not have a clue what they're doing or what they're talking about. And this person was one such example. I'm signing off now.